Good people. I'm going on a little bit of a road trip today, so I figured I'd come up here and do a live, man. Spend some time with some people. If there's anybody out there that happens to be awake at this particular point in time in the morning, talk about a few things on the top of my mind. Like number one on my list is the WNBA. Want to talk about that All-Star game that took place this past weekend. Kind of curious of how you guys felt about that, the All-Star game. With the new gimmicks and the new things that they seem to be doing in it. They got the 4-point shot. I'll be totally honest with you, man. I'm not really interested in seeing anything new in the NBA. Especially where the All-Star game is concerned. I'm not really new of seeing anything. But in the WNBA, I don't mind seeing them try these new gimmicks. I personally enjoyed the game that took place the other night. The only thing that I think they got wrong was the MVP. In my humble opinion. And don't get me wrong, I think Collier's she's a beast. Hell of a player, she's a hell of a scorer, but when you have an individual that scored a triple-double in an All-Star game, that means that she came out there and she was doing some work on every single aspect of the game. So, I mean, how could you... And apparently it was the first time ever that was ever done. So I personally think that she deserved to be MVP. Just for that reason alone. I'm not sure I really like the format of them, Caitlin Clark playing against, a Collier team or whatever the case may be. I don't like that. I really think that, the NBA and the WNBA need to go back to East versus West. Because that way, at least individuals, like people who aren't prone to basketball, you do have individuals that just watch basketball, but they're not real fans of basketball. You got to make it a little bit easier for them to understand it, for them to follow it, for them to know what division Caitlin Clark plays in. I think that they just need to keep the All-Star game East versus West. Forget about, I understand the reason why they're doing it. Because they're trying to promote their league and they're trying to promote their stars of the league. I understand that. That's the reason why stuff like this will work a little bit better in the WNBA than it would ever work in the NBA. Once they started trying that stupidness in the NBA, like with LeBron James versus Steph Curry or LeBron James versus Kevin Durant, that's when the All-Star game, in my personal opinion, took a major league dip. Martin, welcome, my man. Welcome to the new subscriber. I'm a firm believer that, when they started, instead of playing East versus West, when they started putting the names underneath it, like the NBA, unfortunately, that couldn't work. The WNBA, I think that there is a possibility that could work because not enough people know about the stars in the WNBA. So when you do it that way, you're promoting your stars and you're promoting your league. So all the gimmicks that they're trying with the 4-point shot and all that kind of stuff, the WNBA is the place that you need to try all that kind of stuff. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's okay. In my humble opinion, honestly speaking, I'm enjoying the product of the WNBA that I'm seeing out there. I really am. The only thing they need to do is they need to tighten up with the refs, because the refs at times let the game get away from them. And if they don't rein that back in, somebody is going to get seriously hurt, in my humble opinion. So yes, I enjoy seeing the physical play, but it has to be controlled physical play. In my humble opinion. But The All-Star game, everything was good about the All-Star game except for the MVP. I think they got the MVP wrong. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the girl, that young lady called her. She's an excellent player, and she is a star in this league. I personally think she's just as good as Caitlin Clark. Well, her all-around game, at least. Maybe not her shooting, but her all-around game, I think she's just as good as a Caitlin Clark. But she did not deserve to be MVP. Not because the team was named after her, and not because she's one of the stars of the league. That means that you just have to hand her an MVP. You had Skylar Diggins, if I'm not mistaken, that scored a triple-double. I mean, do people not understand exactly what a triple-double is? A triple-double means you're covering practically every single aspect in the game. You're having an effect on every single aspect of that game. And it's an all-star game. Think about it. All-star game means you're playing with the best players in your league. And you scored a triple-double. I mean, I could be wrong, but to me, that's an MVP right there. That's an MVP. You were in double digits in assists. You were in double digits with scoring. And you were in double digits with rebounds. The three major factors of what basketball has to offer. So, and for me, unfortunately, when you get stuff like that wrong, unfortunately, that could have a negative impact on your game, in my humble opinion. But hey, I'm just a fan. So, I mean, what do I know? But I also want to talk about the mere fact of the matter that LeBron James finds a way to stay relevant in the NBA. In the off season, during the playoffs, and that's a skill in its own right, as far as I'm concerned. Because for an individual that got ousted in the first round, how you manage to keep your name relevant is beyond me. I mean, I do see the Lakers making certain moves right now. They're trying to do the best they can with what they can. But Laker Nation, I need you guys to have faith in the new management. They're already starting to let people know exactly how they're going to be handling certain situations. Unfortunately, in my personal opinion, it's not sitting too well with the proclaimed king. But at the end of the day, you know what? It's too damn bad at this particular point in time. You're 40-something years of age. You took all the money off of the table. So now you're just going to have to deal with whatever the results may very well be. I think that the Lakers are just sending a clear message to him, letting him know that, you know what? After this season, we're done with the trick and pony show. We're moving on. We're moving past you. And I believe that that's a very hard pill, proclaimed king, to swallow. He's not used to being dealt with like that. I mean, in his career, I believe there's only one management team that basically let him know his place, and that was the Miami Heat. And we saw what happened with that. He headed for the hills, but he couldn't stand that pressure. And now here it is. You have another franchise organization that's sending another clear message to the proclaimed king. I personally think it's about time. I think that this is exactly what had to happen in order for the NBA to take a little bit of control back of their league. Because you were giving way too much control over to one individual. And because of that, the league was starting to become a joke, in my humble opinion. Now you guys have the possibility of actually saving it. You guys have the possibility of actually focusing on your younger talent. You guys have the possibility of actually promoting the game the way in which the game needs to be promoted, and make sure you turn the league over to the new faces. Because I'm sorry, man, a 41-year-old superstar is not going to get you over that hump anymore. Unfortunately. They were talking about 4 teams that were interested in his services. I think that's a lot of smoke and flame. I think that that's just one of Clutch Sports' go-to moves to try and apply pressure on whatever team he happens to be playing for at that particular point in time. So what do? You know, they have control with the media. They go out there and they put false narratives out there in order to make the organization have to make moves because they're going to feel that he's not happy and he's going to leave. But at this particular point in time, the Lakers are basically saying, yo, you want to leave, sayonara. Don't let the doorknob hit you in the split and crack of your ass. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, you know, like I said, I can't take anything away from his greatness. Numbers don't lie. Plain and simple. So, I mean, yes, he is great. The greatest of all time, though? Really? The greatest of all time? You tell me one young player that he himself has invested time in and made better. He had the opportunity with Andrew Wiggins. He shipped Andrew Wiggins out of town. He had the opportunity when we got to LA with all that young talent that was there to grow something. He got rid of all of them for Anthony Davis. So that's one of the main reasons why old school individuals like myself have a hard time respecting anything about the proclaimed king. Yes, we have no choice. We got to admit that he is great. Because numbers do not lie. But there's nobody that's going to force the greatest of all time down our throat. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And really and truly, man, if you're sticking around planning to play for 40 years in order to try and change our minds, don't waste your time, buddy. Don't waste your time because you could play for 60 years. I'm still gonna stand on what I stand on, plain and simple. In my era, I've seen what the greatest of all time looks like. Now, don't get me wrong. In the eras before, they were probably greater than my GOAT. But you got to understand, I'm only talking about what I had the opportunity to witness. Plain and simple. That's all I could base it on, what I've seen with my own eyes. You know, you hear people talking about Oscar Robertson, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell. These guys were all great guys also. I just didn't get to witness them. That's all. The 2 individuals that they're talking about right now of being the greatest of all time, I had an opportunity to witness both of them. The start of their careers and the end of their careers. So that's why I feel no way to come up here and talk about and express my opinion on how I feel about it. That's all. As a fan. And I think that's one thing that's really missing. That the NBA needs to go back to. Like, listening to the voice of the fans. Because at the end of the day, the product that you're putting forth, is it not for us? So should we not be able to give some kind of input that has some kind of relevance in the way in which you guys want to move forward with the league? Shouldn't it be that way? I don't know. But now I think, you know, with the move that the NBA seems to be making back to NBC, I think that things are going to slowly change back to what we were used to growing up. They got the greatest of all time that's going to be coming back and commentating. So, I mean, hey, what's that going to look like? What is that going to look like? I'm telling you, man. And before I forget, people, I want to take this opportunity to send out my condolences to Malcolm Jamal Warner and his family. That one hits a little bit differently. I'm not going to tell no word of a lie because anybody who's around my age, we grew up with Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was like an extended part of our family. That whole Huxtable experience was something that every individual of color took pride in experiencing. Why? Because they were the first successful black family on TV. We had a lot of black couples and black families on TV, but they were the first successful. One was a doctor, one was a lawyer, and they had all their kids underneath the same roof. So every individual at some point in time took part in the Cosby Show. Every single individual of color took part in the Cosby Show. And because Theo Huxtable, Malcolm Jamal Warner, was the only boy on that show, guaranteed there was a few of us that wish that we could have been like him, you know, coming from a family with that kind of money. Guaranteed. So all that to say, like, when I heard about the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner, it hit a little bit differently. It felt real close to home. Rest in peace, bro. With that being said, people, I want you guys to share. I need you guys to like. And don't be. Subscribe to this channel, man. Help this channel grow. Double the Innocence with your boy E-Dub is out. Have yourself a blessed day, peeps. Deuces.